Hello, everybody, and welcome to elPablo FC. And today we're going to be reviewing match week 8 of the Premier League 25-26 season. In this episode, we're going to be, digging deep into all 10 games and all of that, dividing them into multiple segments and all of that. Later on, we're going to also do the 5 things we learned from this match week. But then we have a packed episode for you. So welcome to elPablo FC, where we review basically all things football, including breaking news, transfers, and shocking news, as well as talking about all things relates to Premier League and Premier League and Spanish La Liga, as well as the Champions League. So we're going to break down a whole lot. We're going to kind of analyze things and stuff like that, take it deeper than we could ever imagine and all of that. So thank you so much for joining. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything that we or any of our latest videos. So thank you for joining in, and I don't take your subscription and your comments and all of your support for granted. So a 9-year curse has been shattered. A manager sacked after just 39 days. A ruthless machine or goal machine continuing his relentless march, and a rivalry that has been reignited in the most shocking way possible. You think you know what's coming in the Premier League, and then a match day like this now happens to kind of shock you, right? And it turns everything on its head. You never can tell. So welcome to elPablo FC once again. And we're going to give you the deepest analysis, the most unpredictable, for the most unpredictable league in the world, as well as the Premier League and Spanish La Liga. And basically, let's get stuck in. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's get right into it. Now, we're going to start with the Anfield heist, which is the first segment of this. The Anfield heist, United's redemption. Now, let's not beat about the bush. We have to start at Anfield, the biggest rivalry in English football. A fixture that for nearly a decade, like 9 years, has been pure torment for Manchester United. Basically meeting Liverpool a couple times and playing them, I think, over the last 10 games or over the last 9 games, drawing 5 and losing 4. And when you lose 4 games, when Manchester United lose 4 games, you lose really, really badly. Now, coming into this game, Liverpool was struggling, but Anfield is Anfield, and it's a fortress for them. And then they had lost 3 games in a row, but they were all away games, and the narrative was already pushed with regards to that. But on Sunday, Manchester United didn't just win; they did it in a way that will send shockwaves across the Premier League, across the entire league. The opening whistle barely had time to settle before Bryan Mbeumo, in just 61 seconds, stunned the home crowd. It was a perfectly executed counter-attack, a sign of intent from Rúben Amorim's side, and it instantly put Liverpool on the back foot. For the next 70-plus minutes, obviously, United showed resilience, frustrating the Liverpool attack and holding on to the slender lead, as well as missing a couple of chances. But the inevitable happened. Liverpool, driven by their home support, found a way through. Cody Gakpo, in the 78th minute, scored the equalizer, and it felt like heads had dropped, but United never gave up. And you could feel like the collective dread from every United fan watching. Not me included. I was fairly certain, considering the fact that we had scored 1, we could go on to score another. But most United fans, I'm even watching some big content creators online really dropping their heads and sinking their heads in their shirts and stuff. But the pattern was so familiar. Basically, it felt so familiar for United fans. United holds on, but Liverpool finds a way to win or draw, or draw late or something like that. But the curse was about to continue, especially for Man United fans feeling that way. But then came the fairy tale ending, a set piece, and an in-swinging ball from Bruno Fernandes, and rising above everyone was the much maligned, the often criticized Harry Maguire. He thumps his header home in the 84th minute. The eruption from the United fans, the look of utter disbelief and a joy on Maguire's face. It was a moment of pure poetry for Manchester United fans. As he famously tweeted to his critics, "See you at Old Trafford soon," after what he's been through and all the ridicule and jokes, scoring the winner at Anfield is the ultimate redemption arc. United's 2-1 victory wasn't just 3 points, it was a statement. It was a psychological victory that tells the rest of the league that this United side under Rúben Amorim has a newfound resolve. For Liverpool, it's a fourth consecutive defeat, and the pressure is on Arne Slot, and it is growing exponentially. Despite creating chances, as Michael Owen pointed out, they look a little ragged at the back. The summer's massive investment is looking increasingly questionable for Liverpool. Then the next one we're going to go with basically is Erling Haaland, the Haaland show and Postecoglou's nightmare. While one Manchester United was one Manchester club was busy writing a new chapter in their rivalry, the other was simply doing what it does best, winning. Manchester City dispatched to Everton 2-0, and once again it was about the Norwegian monster, the freak Erling Haaland. This man is simply a goal scoring machine. Haaland bagged both goals, taking his Premier League tally to an astonishing 11 goals after 8 games. And, he's scoring at the rate that is kind of almost unfair, basically. With that victory, City moves up to second place, 3 points behind Arsenal. While Arsenal deserves credit for their consistency, City's relentless quality, led by Haaland, is simply terrifying for any title challenger. Now, speaking of a team that can't seem to buy a win, we have to talk about Nottingham Forest. Their 3-0 home defeat to Chelsea was the final nail in the coffin for manager Ange Postecoglou. His time in charge, lasted a mere 39 days and produced 0 wins. He had 6 losses and 2 draws. It was disastrously short and unsuccessful, a spell that saw the team lose 6 of their 8 games under his leadership. Now, the decision to sack him was swift, happening less than 20 minutes after the full-time whistle. He literally didn't even have time to do the post-match presser, because immediately after the game, Marinakis basically sacked him, and he just packed his bags and he was gone. For those watching, it felt like a recipe for disaster from the start. As Stan Sports expert Mark Pugach noted, Postecoglou was replacing Nuno Espirito Santo, a popular manager who had previously brought Forest success. The fan base was restless, and when results didn't come, the owners acted decisively. Now, the rumors are swirling around Sean Dyche. And basically, if you look at it, we already have a "here we go" from Fabrizio Romano about Sean Dyche. We'll just get to that before we move on with our analysis. We already have a "here we go." Sean Dyche is already Sean Dyche is already a Man United. A Nottingham Forest. Just a quick one, Sean. So I think Fabrizio Romano we already have a "here we go" from that. Yeah, we have a "here we go" from Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche set to sign contract until June 2027 at Nottingham Forest. Verbal agreement in place between parties, with former Everton manager ready for Premier League return. So it's already done. That news is already completely done. Then that's pretty much what happened. And Sean Dyche is the replacement for Ange Postecoglou. Dyche is a former Forest player and a proven Premier League manager, known for his pragmatic and organized approach. He's the firefighter they need, but it says a lot about the current club's state that they are already on their 3rd manager of the season. So that speaks a lot about Marinakis and his way of running a football club. Then we're going to talk about around the league, the thrills, the spills, the standings, and all of those things in between. Let's quickly, go through some of the other key storylines in the league on Matchday 8. It wasn't just the big games that delivered the drama. In our Selhurst Park, we had an absolute thriller between Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, ending in a 3-3 draw with a hat-trick from Mateta, Jean-Philippe Mateta. The game featured a spectacular hat-trick from Jean-Philippe Mateta, who almost single-handedly dragged his team to a point. He now has 5 goals for the season, continuing his impressive form. But the result shows that while Palace has firepower, they also have defensive vulnerabilities, despite the fact that they've shown some, respite and some belief over the couple of weeks and all of that. Also, other games including Aston Villa pulling off a solid 2-1 away victory over Tottenham Hotspur. That was a shocker. A comeback win that will feel, particularly sweet for Unai Emery's side. It continues their decent run of form and pushes them further up the table, cementing their place in the top half. And then West Ham struggles also continues with a 2-0 home loss, which I just watched, to Brentford. The Hammers now find themselves firmly in the relegation conversation, and the pressure is mounting on the players to turn things around. The statistics from the game are telling. Brentford dominated possession, obviously, most notably disrupting West Ham's style of play by putting, like, they always love to play the ball in the air and never want to string up a couple of passes. They can't string 5 to 6 passes, just chaos, and long ball, and basically counter attack and trying to find opportunities to score. And when they get the chances, they're very clinical, right? Brentford had dominated position as he showed on the game, but it was a bit chaotic, and they had a far superior shots on target count, which is where they thrive, showing that they were fully deserving of the 3 points at away to West Ham. And in other results, Brighton picked up a decent 2-1 win over Newcastle, proving that they are still the team to be reckoned with. Sunderland also continued their impressive start to the season with a 2-0 victory over Wolves. And then, so where does that leave us in the table? Arsenal, a narrow victory, but still at the top with 19 points. They beat Fulham using a set piece as well, as always. Manchester City right behind with 16 points. Liverpool, Chelsea, and Bournemouth, as well as Tottenham, all bunched up in the European places, making for a fascinating battle. At the bottom of the table, we have Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Wolves, all looking nervously at the relegation zone. So Matchday 8 has truly, shaken things up. We've seen a shift in momentum, a classic rivalry moment, a swift end to the managerial experiment, and what happens next is anyone's and everyone's guess. But one thing's for sure, the Premier League title race is wide open, and the fight for survival is just getting started. If we're going to have another look at the Premier League table, we could say this for a fact that, like I said, Arsenal are top, 19 points. Man City second, 16 points. And then Bournemouth and Liverpool are both on 15th, 3rd and 4th. And then Chelsea and Tottenham, as well as Sunderland, are all on 14 points, in 5th, 6th, and 7th in that order. Crystal Palace, 13 points, as well as Manchester United, 13 points as well. And 1 point behind them is Brighton and Hove Albion, who are on 12, with Aston Villa as well, sneaking into the 11th spot. And then Everton, 11 points. Everton, 11 points. Brentford, 10 points. And Newcastle, 9 points. Fulham, 8 points at 14th. And then Leeds, 8 points at Fulham, 8 points at 15th. Leeds, 8 points at 16th. Burnley, 7 points at 17th. And then Nottingham Forest, 5. West Ham, 4. And Wolverhampton, 2. All round out the table. So that's pretty much what it is. So that's all we have for you with regards to the review of match week 8 or match day 8. What was your standout moment? For me, it was just the Man United versus Liverpool, or the Liverpool versus Man United, because one unique stat that came out from that game was the fact that Man United now have beaten Premier League defending champions for 2 consecutive seasons. Last season, it was Man City 2-1 at the Etihad, and this season it was Liverpool at Anfield. And guess what? It was Man United's this thing has happened for the first time in 117 years. I don't know why that stat exists, but it is what it is. Back-to-back seasons as well. Yeah, so that was my standard moment. But then my question to you all is, put in the comment section, was it the Harry Maguire's redemption situation, or was it, I mean, like Harry Maguire coming clutch as well? Was it Haaland's goal scoring form? I mean, we all know how that has panned out. He's scoring like with reckless abandon, or the brutal managerial sacking of Forest. I mean, that one is questionable as well. You have to think about it from that perspective. We love to hear your takes. I'd love to hear your takes in the comment section. Also, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this episode of elPablo FC. If you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. We're growing as a community slowly but surely, so make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss any of our weekly breakdowns. We'll be back with you next week to actually dissect the action from Matchday 9, but also we'll do a Matchday 9 preview. We'll also do some Champions League preview, and also look out for the Spanish La Liga preview as well as the review. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss any of our content that we put out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye. And God bless.